Welcome to Money on Tap. Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters, where we bring out the professionals' experience and some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. That's what we do on this show. We look at all sides of the issues, and we bring a fully independent planning perspective to the table.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. My name's Seth Cressman. I'm here with Ben Brayshaw. How are you doing today, Ben?
I'm doing good, Seth. How are you doing?
Doing well, doing fine. The show, folks, we are here with you today. Welcome aboard. We're going to have some fun and discussing. This is going to be a lighthearted show for the most part. Money in the News is going to get into some interesting things for sure. The show for you, though, we're going to be covering the best retirement cities for your golden years. And I think what's fun about this show for us today is that, we've covered this topic many times. It's important for our clients and for you to be, taking a look around and seeing what your opportunities are. But a lot of the time we're looking at just a few different articles out there. We'll have something that kind of comes across our desk and it's interesting. It's a good topic. But today we've actually sourced our data from 6 different places to really cross over and pull back all of the minutia of what goes into the cake that gets baked for the best places to live. And we've created our own list for you instead of just kind of standardizing some of the other information that's out there. So it's going to be a lot of fun for us to dig into this with you as well. I am thinking about our podcast listeners right now and also want to just thank you for being there in our podcast world. If that's you, hit the subscribe button. Send us a message because we've got some Money on Tap gear that we'd love to send you out as well. You that have sent in your questions, your queries to us at Money on Tap at Brayshaw Financial Group. It's a lot of fun for us to engage with you out there and to just give us some food for thought on what it is that we're bringing to the table today. All right, with that, it is time for Money in the News.
Well, first up, we have Russian ruble slides back towards 100 per dollar despite energy rate hike. This is a Wall Street Journal article. This is brought to us by Chelsea Delaney. And, this is a really interesting article because the central bank had raised rates. And for a lot of us, we don't even care about some of these things. But the truth is that when rates get raised and so forth, people are looking for investment opportunities and the rates go up. There's a lot of money that usually goes to a lot of different countries and so forth. In this scenario, Russia didn't get the boost. It actually went backwards. And to think that every ruble is worth about a penny is not a good story for Russia at all. And I think most of what's coming out of this, because rates have risen everywhere. There's lots of people that are concerned about where that is and whether they're coming down and so forth. But when it comes to Russia, the article is pointing out that the reason a lot of, people are not investing there is just the fundamental issue that Russia is going to be facing and is facing sanctions on a regular basis. So people are concerned about their investment and how that is. At some point in time, sanctions can get so tight, so restrictive. 100 could be a good deal. A penny for a ruble might be a high value target there, Seth.
Yeah, there's really hard to say where this is going to go for Russia, and there's a lot of people. It's an emotionally charged topic, and we recognize that and realize that. But as bringing this to the news, there's a lot of people that are affected. It's not just a leader. It's not just a military. It's not just a Ukraine versus Russia question. There's a lot of people that are affected in this topic, and to see people that are, ultimately suffering under those circumstances and not being able to do the business that they used to be able to do, or to buy the goods that they used to be able to buy at the exchange that they used to be able to buy it at, is a significant problem. One that I would say in most circumstances would influence leadership to try to do some things differently. And that's a different conversation, different topic. The truth is that they're really in a bad spot right now. And, on unpinning themselves from the dollar, which is, the international currency that really gets most things held to, is part of where Russia has been heading for quite a while now, and with several other nations in that movement as well. How much would that really make a difference when they're talking about spending the kind of money that they're spending in the military complex that they're spending, as well as really not having any kind of exchange happen with their goods and services out there to the world? It doesn't seem like it would move the dial.
Yeah, I would say that, there's such a big conversation, and I think politically charged is the right word, Seth. You say Ukraine, Russia, Trump, Biden. I mean, you say any of those words, everyone's got 5 opinions, and they're rooted in their thinking. I think the issue that's, kind of the 3-dimensional perspective around this topic is oil. I mean, Russia's selling oil outside of the U.S. dollar because of the sanctions, and they're selling it to China and various countries that are willing to buy it, irrelevant of the sanctions that the U.S. has put in place. And that being said, they're selling it cheaper at a discount than what oil is traditionally selling, but they're not moving it into the U.S. dollar, right? And so that's what everyone normally does. They move their currency into the U.S. dollar and they exchange oil, and then they transfer it back out of the U.S. dollar. And the U.S. dollar used to be the majority of the world's, reserve currency, and it still is, but barely. It used to be in the 70% range, and it's just in the 50% range. And a lot of it has to do with a lot of these sanction issues that are going on, is what's presumed. If you really think about it, what's interesting, Seth, is, this might be 100 rubles to a U.S. dollar, but the ruble is backed by gold. The U.S. dollar's not. So it's kind of an interesting conversation, because if all of a sudden we have a massive currency change and we all shift to digital currency, and you got China and Russia and the BRIC all using the gold standard, and Mexico potentially moving that direction, and we're not. And then we have a digital currency scenario come about. Like, we could see 1 ruble, we could see $100 US to 1 ruble for all we know. I mean, this could be a huge swing in a heartbeat. Just a thought. That ruble actually means something, is what I'm saying.
There you go. Next up, we have via The Hustle. Thank you very much. This is the answer to sky high housing prices may also be sky high. Thank you, Ben Berkeley. And sure, the New York City Empire State Building makes a finalist topper as America's favorite piece of architecture. But it's apparently not his favorite. LA's 2121 Avenue of the Stars, the gleaming 34-story beauty that holds 2 secrets, unofficial Nakatomi Plaza, a.k.a. setting of the Die Hard, is actually pretty empty at 186.9 thousand square feet currently for lease. And that is right in line there with the 10 largest U.S. markets of 50% of office space at an unoccupied rate as of June. What does that mean? You have some of the most prestigious, most desirable locations to warehouse and office, primarily in the United States, not getting the dollars. People are not bringing their money into that market, and that is leaving a lot of typically cash flow positive real estate markets in a lurch with raising rates and everything else that's around that. Now, those don't necessarily always apply inside of those markets because they're, private equity a lot of the time. There's just a lot to be said here as far as what the pop opportunity is. And I think for where they're going with this is that basically converting these high rises into living situations or condos or other kinds of real estate in other than just the business or office space. This is actually a topic that the other week when we were talking about long-term care, it popped into my head. And I know it's probably not an original idea. I probably got this from somewhere, but either way, it was there. And I didn't say anything about it. The truth is that there's going to be a need for some other bed situations. Basically, there's going to be some long-term care scenarios and there's going to be some real estate opportunities here. I don't know why they would not look to some of these properties for some possible beds or long-term care or those kind of assisted living situations as well.
Yeah, Seth, I mean, there's a lot around this that's pretty interesting. And, it's funny because there's a lot of moving parts here. There is so much in the way of economic benefit to, between the green energy initiatives and so forth, to build new buildings that are, that either are green or meet certain energy standards and so forth. So literally the government's almost paying some organizations just to build buildings. So that's really interesting. And so to convert these buildings, to actual living space is very easy, but, new construction is more appealing because you have these huge initiatives that you can build a similar building with maybe a lower, initial cost per square foot. So you've got to buy this building significantly underwater, highly vacant as they are, to then potentially make this thing almost an equivalent and to spend money and to upgrade things to meet green standards is sometimes super expensive or impossible depending on the previous construction. So, when you really break this thing down, there's a fundamental problem when our government steps into capitalism. There's all sorts of inadvertent, downsides to it. And one of them is, hey, we're building brand new buildings where there's other buildings that are 186,000 square feet empty. That's a lot of square footage. That's incredible. And to be a part of the Die Hard movie, like if I had an office out that way, I'd be like, yeah, I want to be in the Die Hard movie, right where he jumped out, So, that's interesting to me in a lot of ways. I think you're right. There's going to be some new creativity. And I think, long-term care or, adult living, a lot of people don't want to manage a house anymore when they hit their retirement years. They're done. It's like, hey, I enjoyed that time period of my life, but I want to be with my kids and they're all over the place and I want to travel. I don't want to worry about, not being home for 3 weeks because the lawn's not mowed.
Yeah.
So that's where I think there's an issue. And I think this is an interesting idea for sure.
Well, got to hand it to him. This is the headline from Yahoo Finance. America is broke. Robert Kiyosaki warns that a crash landing is coming, says the Fed has been smoking fantasy weed. Here are the 3 assets he likes for shock proofing.
End quote for anybody who thinks we're making that up.
Yeah, right. Got to thank Jinpeng for kind of pulling off of my Instagram feed something that's really been rattling back there for the last several years. This is, the quote's new, and Robert Kiyosaki speaking about or speaking out about this crash is nothing new. He's been talking about this for quite a while.
Those who don't know who he is, he's the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. I mean, that's super well known. It's super well known book, and so for him to be stepping into this void is very interesting.
Yeah. So, if you're not familiar with Robert Kiyosaki, great place to start there with that book. And he has created all sorts of assets in the digital space for people to work inside of real estate, work inside of oil and gas. He's really done a lot in the investment world, and has been a voice for quite a while in terms of what to expect, or calling the next big one out there. Where he's going with this is that there's a bunch of smoke and mirrors that are going on with the Fed, the market. He's not buying it, and he's basically saying, hey, these are the assets that he's invested in. So with that, I mean, I think there's a point here that you got to realize that he's invested in these. It benefits him to go ahead and continue to, spout out that you got to buy gold, you got to buy silver, you have to invest in one particular digital asset that's been there for, since the beginning of the digital asset surge. That's as much as we can say in that space. We're limited in what we can talk about in that space for our compliance purposes here. And we're not leading a charge in any one of those. We're just bringing you a story that says Robert Kiyosaki is saying buy gold, buy silver. And he has some points that have merit inside of this article as well. Of course he would. He's not creating something out of nothing. There's nothing that's unfounded here. How much of it do you want to buy? That's the part that we say, well, it would be curious to be able to take a look and see how much of his portfolio is he banking on this.
Yeah, I think, when you think about some of this conversation, and I mean, this isn't the first downgrading of the U.S., government and its debt, but it is another poignant telltale sign. I mean, these organizations aren't doing it out of, irrelevance, and printing $14 trillion or whatever the number is definitely going to require somebody to do some fiduciary reevaluation on this. I would say that, there are a lot of concerns. We've been talking about, a pullback for a long time. I think something's coming. I just don't know what, when, and how deep. I just know that there's going to be some level of, what's going to happen with these rates. I think the only way that we can, I don't think a soft landing's coming. I think it's going to be painful. I think the Fed could lower rates quickly and try to really get us there and make it smoother. But looking at where rates are, I don't think they're done raising rates. That's the thing. I don't think they've been honest or truthful at all. And I think, that lack of transparency and, communication is just it. Jerome Powell should be, I think they think they're doing everyone a favor by holding back, but I think they come across as liars. I mean, you can't say we're going to do this and you're going to do that and this is going to happen. Watch, we're going to turn around and rates are probably going to go up again. And they're probably going to go up again next year and maybe even further. I have no idea. I don't know where they stop. I don't know that I don't think they're being as, altruistic and, looking for the best outcome. I just really don't know where I'm at with that. I mean, maybe I'm breached with a little conspiracy theory or whatever, but I just don't trust them. And at the same time, I'm also saying to myself, there's other countries out there our enemies are lowering rates. We're raising rates. We are putting ourselves in a harder financial position. We need to explode our industrial space. We need to literally create opportunity for us to build out America so we can provide for ourselves. I mean, all of these things need to happen. And I don't raising rates does nothing but, temper that down, Seth. And I'm concerned about our long-term viability on that. If they start lowering rates, that would be a good thing. If they've there's probably some saving face. Like they have to save face. Like we said, we're going to do this and we need, inflation to be this and we need unemployment to be this. And the truth is they're chasing, they're chasing a chicken that's running faster than them. More people are retiring every day. The needs for everybody in the technology space are growing, and the semiconductor chips, every new item that you buy has 2 or 3 more semiconductor chips or 100 or 1,000. So we can't build those fast enough. I mean, I just don't think that they're I think it's just a smoke and mirrors. I would agree with him.
Yeah. Okay. So trust the government? I don't. My heart says I'd love to be able to do that. And I pay attention to not only what the headlines are that we're getting told, but to guys like Robert, and there's several other out there that are definitely leading a charge to, I don't call it enlighten us or just call it educate us on what the probability here of what's been happening with the dollar, how the influx of capital has gone, how the raising rates environment has gone, and there's just really nothing there to support the activity that we've had.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying, Seth, buy gold, silver, or digital currencies. I mean, that's what he's saying. Those are his 3 options. Yeah. I would say there's a 4th option out there that I don't even think that he's considering, the transition of the world. And we've talked about this. I think that blue chip value stocks are probably the very best transitioning piece because, you know what? If we go to a digital currency, gold's going to mean nothing. Right. Yeah. Most likely because most of them aren't based on, some sort of gold standard. So that's one thing. I really think that when you buy a blue chip stock that's international and so forth, at that point in time, you buy Johnson & Johnson, they're selling baby powder all over the world. You buy, Procter & Gamble, they're selling toothpaste all over the world. At the end of this, everyone's still buying toothpaste and baby powder. People are going to be buying toilet paper. Those things going through an economic crisis, a one world currency, all of those different transitions, the intrinsic value of these companies will probably span that shuttering of our financial system the best. Now, I don't think that you're going to avoid loss in that scenario. I think you're going to see massive swings. But I think those intrinsic value items, places that are providing real goods and services that are absolute necessities, I think you have a better shot at that as an alternative. Because if you bet on any one of gold, silver, or some digital currency, you could lose depending on any other things. At the end of all of this, Procter & Gamble's still telling toothpaste.
You know what? I am so glad that you said blue chip stocks and not solar energy or something like that. Oh my gosh, you remind me of a story of Bridgewater when he lost everything. If you're not familiar with Bridgewater, that's a great story. And one of his mentors was in that silver trade that he got out of it at $10 and it went up to $50. And this guy was the wealthiest man in the world. He lost everything in that silver trade, and he was in oil and gas as well. So there's some historical information here. History doesn't repeat itself. However, the human tendencies, what we do, those directions that we tend to head, you know what those do? Those repeat a lot. So either way, you guys, I love what you were saying there, Ben. There's opportunity inside of all of these areas, and something's going to happen. Other shoe is going to drop. We're going to up. What goes up must come down, and we're going to be here for you no matter what when that happens as well. Thank you so much for the articles this week in Money in the News. You're listening to Money on Tap, and we're going to be coming back with the best retirement cities for your golden years. It's a fun topic for us to cover because there's just so many places in this beautiful, beautiful country that we live in that it is eye-opening for us to take a look and see where the opportunities are for people to go ahead and land and live out these beautiful years of their life, and why they would want to land there. You're listening to Money on Tap. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, Dan Mickelon here with Brayshaw Financial. Looking for a hassle-free way to invest? Look no further than Brayshaw Financial Group. With Brayshaw Financial Group, you can start investing with as little as $100, enjoy a user-friendly platform with a diverse range of investment options. Visit Brayshaw Financial Group and start your investment journey today. Brayshaw Financial Group, investing made easy.
We appreciate you listening to Money on Tap. You can contact us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. And now, more of this week's program.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. Thank you for joining us today. We do recognize you could be doing all sorts of things with your time, and right now, spending it with us, it says a lot about. It says a lot to us, and we're grateful. Yeah, to us it means that you're engaged in your finances. You're wanting to learn more. You're connecting in a new way, or looking to connect in a new way, and improve the health of your finances, your financial planning. All great things. So congratulations, because you are one of the few that are engaging in this arena with us today. And, we're going to be covering a fun topic, but doesn't that mean, it's not all, nose to the grindstone in, the financial world. Yes, it's significant and it's important, and it can be a very stressful, charged topic, as we were talking about earlier today. And there's so many parts of what it is that we do and why we love what we do in financial planning, because it opens opportunities to just have vision and purpose and meaning and intention and all of those things inside of your finances going in a direction that could be landing in a new city. And when taking a look at the landscape of what we've got to offer here in the United States, it is incredible. It's just absolutely incredible. There's a lot of people that are making moves internationally and becoming, expats because of, all sorts of different reasons. But even more and that gets a lot of airplay, really. It's something that we hear a lot about. I think more significant and frankly of more interest to us is what's going on here stateside and what those opportunities for you look like. There's all sorts of factors for you to consider. Why would, for one, what's wrong with where you're at right now? That could be a lot of different stuff. That could be, the family's moved away and I want to go be closer to the family. Usually one of the main drivers, grandkids or
the family wants me to move away.
The family's asked me to leave the state. My local municipalities are,
looking
whatever.
For me.
Yes. That's less than common in our arena, but I'm not gonna shame that if that's the case. But we understand there's lots of reasons. Now, the attractive part in this is what would bring you into that new place. And for a lot of what we try to discuss and look at in terms of our client base and what's important for you is livability, right? Do you have access to services that you're going to need as you start to age forward in life? How is the health care? What's the community like? Is there, is it a biking community? Is it transit friendly? There's all a myriad. I mean, weather, does it have 2 seasons or 4? Or 1. That's some people, that's all they want is 1 season. So all those factors included, it's fun for us to take a look and see what has changed, because there has been changes out there in the world and in communities, and some of these cities that we're talking about are on our top 10 list today. Even as we drove through the data and took a look, we just got surprised. We're like, well, this was not what we expected to find. And so it's delightful for us to be able to have a fun conversation like this with you today.
Yeah, I got to tell you, these shows, they don't have the high level of investment stuff. I mean, it doesn't get me super thrilled to not talk. I mean, I love investments. Like, I could talk about that all day. But, I will say that we have a lot of conversation in the office with so many people about where are we going to retire? Where are we going to spend our golden years or what? And for you who might not be, looking at your golden years around the corner, what a great opportunity to think about where some of the best places are to live today. Maybe that's a transition opportunity for you. Maybe that's I'm going to get to the place I want to be now because I can buy a house a lot cheaper today in that location where I want to spend the rest of my life than I can in maybe 20 years or, whatever that looks like. So there's a lot of conversation around just being prepared. We tell people all the time, there's the accumulation phase of your assets and then there's the distribution phase of your assets. And people hear those two things and they think it's a light switch. Okay, I retired. Send me some cash every month. And you can do that, but you can do it so much better with a lot more intentionality and opportunity that if you plan for it over time, like if you just don't jump right into retirement. For some people, that may be their only scenario. They're working at a job for 40 years and they're going to retire, and that's when their 401k is going to become available. And the limitations on that were not exactly what they wanted or something. But for most people, they can ease into it and prepare for this 5 or 10 years in advance and really amplify their opportunities. And people don't believe us, but that is such the truth. Same with, I think, where you want to live and where you want to be. You might find a piece of land you want to build a house on, or you might find that little house that's right in the location where you want to tear down when you're in retirement and build there. Or you might find the perfect little condo, somewhere where you say, I'm going to sell my home up here and I'm going to be down in, I don't know, Florida or Arizona or Tennessee or whatever it is. Whatever that is for your dream, those are things that being prepared today and looking for that opportunity to kind of make that transition happen, you could potentially have a more favorable opportunity than just saying, hey, I retired today and now I'm going to go find my retirement home. And that might be what you want to do. But if you want to prepare for it, this show today is going to be for those who are jumping into it or looking to ease into it. And I like that.
All right. It's time. Number 10, Boise, Idaho.
You know, it's on our top 10. You know, I think from full disclosure, we looked at like, I don't know, 10, 20 different articles, read a bunch of stuff, and these are the 10 we came up with based on all the different moving parts on all of these different things. So, you know, whether it was U.S. News and World Report or Forbes or Niche or, you know, I don't know, any of the, you know, Wall Street, you know, you name it. We've looked at a bunch of these things, and yeah, Boise, Idaho came to our number 10. And I think it's interesting because, you know, I've never been to Idaho, but as I was kind of going through everything, and Seth and I were talking about this, you know, and I'm sure Dan would have I wish Dan was here today because he would have a really good opinion on a lot of these places because he's traveled a fair amount. But the population isn't that big. It's only 231,000 people. I was shocked by that. I think Manchester, New Hampshire is bigger than that. And I don't think anyone in Boise, Idaho knows Manchester and New Hampshire exists. I don't know about you, Seth, but Boise's got a big name, you know? And so I thought that was really, really interesting. One of the things we talk to a lot of people about is affordability, right? Like, how do I live somewhere? How do I be somewhere? How do I enjoy that space? Idaho is affordable. The median cost of rent's only $1,100 a month. You just want to go somewhere for a different part of the season or something like that, or the year, like you could rent something fairly inexpensively. And the median cost of a home is $322,000. I'll tell you, you can't buy a home in New Hampshire for that.
And that's a really surprising number to me too when I took a look at that, because if you take a look at where so many people have been moving across the U.S., that's probably one of the stats that we see more often than not, is like, where are people going to and from? A lot of people are getting out of California, you guys. A lot of people are actually getting out of Portland as well, as we have seen those statistics lately. Where do they go? Well, a lot of California used to move to Portland, Oregon, but now they're heading to Boise, Idaho. And that's one of those, it's a home. What am I trying to say here? The home prices have gone up a lot. So that number of 322 as a medium home value, that number has been pushed higher by a lot in the last few years. And this was a huge part of the pandemic, right? A lot of people getting out of where they're at because of that. And just Idaho was like, when you get to Idaho, nobody was wearing a mask. Nobody was bugging you. Nobody was telling you what to do. And that's just kind of the mindset of most people in Idaho, is like, hey, I've got my business and I'm happy to hear about yours, but don't expect me to make it mine. And that's, frankly, this is funny to me because this is where my family comes from. My dad was born and raised in Boise, Idaho, just outside of it. My mom's from Lewiston. And they're very separate worlds and different, but they're beautiful parts of the country. And if you're looking to get outside and go do something and not see anybody for a long time, you can do that in Idaho real easy. I know you can do it in New Hampshire as well, or Maine. And it's a very similar kind of a feel. It's a very independent kind of a mindset. And it also has a lot of culture. There's a big art scene going on. There's a coffee shop on every single corner, and they're all just like super kitschy and fun and new. And it's got a university there as well that supports a good amount of the population there. So there's an educated part. There's a highly educated part of the state, and so it brings a lot of attractive qualities with it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was a good number 10. You know, there are 50 states, and there's a lot of cities out there, and so for us to bring it down to there, it's we've hit a list. I will say that every one of our top 10 was a echoed featured place among some of the things that we've read. Now, they weren't all in the top 10, and they weren't there for everything. Some were ranked lower. This happened to be ranked number 54 in the Niche article, and it was higher on some other ones. But I'll tell you that it's a really interesting balance, and it does have that kind of remoteness opportunity that a lot of people are looking for in this day and age. And, Idaho's a nice option. Number 9, upcoming here, we have Scottsdale, Arizona. Yeah, so Scottsdale. I don't think that anybody's going to say, hey, Scottsdale can't be on your top 10, Seth. I mean, Scottsdale, I honestly got to tell you, Arizona, the weather is a huge attractor for a lot of retirees. Arizona is definitely a big draw in general. Scottsdale, between the beauty of the dryness, but the public school system, the whole opportunity of like having family down there and extended family really shows a lot of opportunity there. It wasn't ranked in the top 10 of a lot of different places, but when we started comparing all the different kind of data, I definitely felt like Scottsdale was a top 10. A little more expensive to live there. The rental was about $1,500 and the medium home size is about $540,000, but the average income was almost $100,000 for a household. And I thought that was interesting because it totally, it offers about 50% more than even Boise, Idaho, and yet the cost of a home was relatively more affordable because of that. So I thought that was interesting.
The amenities, all the amenities that you're looking for, and it is an amazing place to live. It's 15th best for tax friendliness, 14th best for elderly care. And that's one of those components that we want to take a look at. Is like, what are the services available to you? How is the crime rate? Super, super low. There's a lot that Scottsdale has to offer in retirement living. And yeah, you're going to be paying for it. That's for sure. This is not a place where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. But what you're going to be paying for is, compared across the board, you get a good amount for your dollar there.
Well, next up, we're going to bounce right through these, is Colorado Springs, Colorado. There's not a lot to speak down about Colorado Springs. It kind of speaks for itself. And I think, we're talking about the best of the best of the best. So we could argue every which way to Sunday of which one of these is truly the best place to live. But Colorado Springs, beautiful. The hiking, the opportunity there is phenomenal. For the person who's really into, climbing and hiking, the views are phenomenal. Seth, what I did like about this is kind of in between. Scottsdale had about 900,000 people there. Population in Colorado Springs is about 475,000. So totally reasonable. The median rent was about $1,300. The house value, $324,000. I definitely felt like this was a better overall opportunity. And the thing is kind of the location of Colorado gives it phenomenal weather and the opportunity to travel to other places. That being said, I did feel like the crime was a little higher than some of the other locations, but some of the other stuff kind of made it seem to me like I could probably avoid that stuff and get the retirement life I would want out of that space.
Yeah, it's got a real dense urban kind of a feel to it, so you're going to get a little bit more of that. Most residents own their homes. The public schools are very highly rated in this area, and if you take a picture or just take a look, you cannot beat the view.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. A lot of people are looking for something different. And I think when we talk to people, I would say almost every one of these places is on a conversation list that, really brings us to the next option.
Definitely. That brings us to Charlotte, North Carolina. One of my favorite places. Love to see this on the map. Population 864,000. Higher than we typically would see in the retirement community. And there's a lot of opportunity inside of that, with the median home value, $258,000, rent around $1,200. You have about an even spread on the rent versus own. Now, Charlotte has, to me, a real kind of a cosmopolitan feel, and that southern charm and hospitality next to each other. It makes for a great place for not only raising families, and kind of that multi-generational feel that so many people are angling towards right now.
Yeah, I love North Carolina. I think North Carolina is an amazing state. Actually, my parents, when they were alive, they chose to retire in North Carolina, the Oriental town of Oriental on the coast. Beautiful, amazing. There's not a lot of bad to say about North Carolina. If you want to listen to what are those, is the author Sparks or whatever, he does a bunch of movies from there, and it's romantic and all this stuff. There's a romantic side to North Carolina that I love. I think it's just a good old state to do that. The affordability is really, really strong. I think the rent rates about $1,250 on average, and the median home value is $258,000. But the income is definitely on a lower side. So, if you're truly in retirement and you're not worried about actually having, a secondary kind of income to get you there, or if you're thinking about moving there off the bat, you may be walking into a significantly lower income market. So that's something to be aware of.
Tampa, Florida. We're getting hot, folks. We're getting hotter. I know this is one of those destinations for a lot of you, if you happen to be a fan of the Bucs or not. It has a lot to offer. Population 380,000, and just besides the beautiful weather and the location, the affordability is there still. You have about a 50-50 spread on your rent versus buy, but with median home value of around $277,000. I'm trying to think of reasons why not to retire in Florida, or at least in Tampa. It's got a great suburban mix feel to the town there, and there's a lot of bars, restaurants, coffees. Oh, there it is. Coffee shops. Again, I love these places that have coffee shops. And you're also going to have clearly a segment of the population that are in that destination to retire mode.
Yeah, I mean, I think Florida is kind of an obvious conversation for a lot of people. It's the Arizona of the East, right? I mean, it's that southern weather kind of feel. It's definitely a damper weather feel than Arizona, which is more dry. But the thing about Florida, and we take this into account, is the taxable situation. There's no income tax in Florida. So for a lot of retirees, and why that's been really attractive, is that from a financial standpoint, you don't have to worry about that piece. So that's a key item. I love Tampa. I love that side of the state, the Gulf Coast area. I think it's beautiful. I would love retiring in Tampa myself, but that would probably be on my dream list right there. I think it's a great opportunity. That being said, the rent's really pretty reasonable. It's about $250 as well. The median home value is $277,000. I don't know if you really want to get a nice place, you're going to pay a lot of money in Florida. So, I mean, Florida has been on the rampage of purchasing since COVID. So I don't know how true to date that is, but that's an interesting idea. And I think Florida is a great opportunity. And there's a lot of states like that from a tax standpoint that you should look at from a retirement standpoint to try to keep yourself in check.
You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be finishing up our best retirement cities for your golden years.
Are you looking for personalized guidance to kickstart your investing journey? Look no further. Brayshaw Financial Group and our planners are here to help. Our team of experts will provide personalized advice tailored to your financial goals. Visit BrayshawFinancial.com today to schedule your free consultation. Brayshaw Financial, investing made easy.
You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. Talking about the best retirement cities for your golden years. As you're thinking about that, feel free to hit the subscribe on the podcast. Send us a little love letter that says, hey, it's me. I just subscribed. And you can do that at either one of those places. Just give us a call. Send us a note at info@yourmoneyontap.com. We got some Money on Tap gear that we cannot wait to send you out as a thank you. And we are rolling and rocking into, Nashville, Tennessee. Now, Nashville, Tennessee, gosh, who doesn't want to retire in Nashville?
I mean, this could be an argument for number one. I mean, we're in the top 5 here, but I'm telling you, Nashville definitely rocks. No pun intended. No, I mean, I know people in Nashville. I know people who want to retire to Nashville. It's this music capital, right? I mean, there's so much going on there. So if you are ingrained in the music community, this is a wonderful place. Tennessee is a wonderful place to retire, specifically Nashville. I love that. There's some really great tax opportunities with Nashville. I think this is one of the reasons why it popped into our top 5. Nashville does not have a state income tax. they don't tax on earned wages, but they do tax on interest and dividends. So you got to be careful of that. But they did eliminate its tax on investment income. So there's a couple of oddball things. So you may need to restructure your portfolio a little bit, really, to engage Tennessee to retire and make that financially more sound for you and keep more of the cash that you've invested. But what a great opportunity. And the weather's pretty good too there, Seth.
It's incredible. If you haven't spent any time there, it's clearly a lot of fun. Besides just, the city of Nashville and the Grand Ole Opry and just the history it's amazing. There's so many lakes there and there's so many waterways there that if you enjoy that part of recreation, it is a mecca for people that want to get out and do stuff. Plus, there is a large percentage of retirees that are coming to that area just exactly for the same reasons that we're talking about today.
And next up, we have Raleigh, North Carolina, another North Carolina opportunity place. North Carolina gets a lot of retirees because it's an inexpensive place to live. It just provides that kind of atmosphere. It's a slower pace of life. And people really enjoy the climate change. You're kind of getting into the South, and pretty much everything from Virginia down to Florida just becomes a retirement conversation. I would even say that Maryland or the Maryland coast, is interesting as well. But Raleigh, North Carolina has so much to offer. But the cost of living there is extremely low. It's under $300,000. For the median home cost. And that's phenomenal for people who want to retire, have a smaller home, and just have the ability not to have to take care of a bigger house and be able to travel. And guess what? Easy airports.
Very easy. And there's a lot of research institutions there, so there's a high level of education as well. I'm going to go there and just tell you, they got coffee shops, people.
Coffee shops. You and coffee shops, Seth. Well, next up on our list, we have number 3. Now, this is going to be interesting because, we haven't even talked about Texas, Seth. Austin, Texas, number 3. You want to take that?
Woohoo! Do I ever want to take that? Austin, Texas. If you've never been to Austin, Texas, it is a destination for sure. You have got music. Again, this is a retirement mecca. There's water, there's nightlife, there's just a ton of things that we can say as far as just the beauty around there, the mountains around there. And besides the entertainment options, just the art scene is off the charts. And, living in Portland, we've got this little saying out here that's, keep Portland weird. I think we've kind of gone a little bit and overshot that mark in Portland. In Austin, it's a pretty safe place where you can go ahead and see a lot of interesting things going on, a lot of folks that are just doing life a little differently and appreciate it. And that's a fun part of what they offer.
Yeah, it's just a little northeast of San Antonio. So it's, there's this kind of that whole range in between the two have really brought that. But, Texas also is very tax friendly. So that's really, really important. There's no state income tax. And I think that's really important when it comes to retirement, it comes to figuring all this stuff out, setting yourself up today, even pre-retirement where you're not paying income tax, can be as valuable to putting money away for retirement as when you are retired and getting to keep more of that money when you're taking it out. And that's super important.
Well, when you're talking about what it looks like in Portland here, you're adding 9% to your underlying assets every year. And that's a nice thing to be able to do. Next up, we are talking about, more sunshine in Sarasota, Florida.
Yeah, Sarasota's small. It's like population of under 100,000 people. The median home price is $321,000. You're right near the water and loving it. It's the Gulf Coast side, again, something I love. And, it's just a great, Florida's great for taxes. It just really is a phenomenal opportunity for taxes. The weather, it has those mixed. It's hard to discount Florida and what it brings in that space.
I'm shocked at the population of Sarasota. I always thought it was much bigger. And so we really started taking a look through our options here. but they still have a really good feel of that urban or suburban mix. So it's not like you feel like you're living out really too far out in the country, right? You have access to the amenities. Again, there's going to be a ton of things there for you to be able to do just because Florida and that waterway is incredible. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. Going to take a quick break as we come back with the grand finale. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Money on Tap, best retirement cities for your golden years. Hey guys, Seth Cressman with Brayshaw Financial Group. Are you ready to take control of your financial future? Look no further than Brayshaw Financial Group. Our team of experienced advisors is dedicated to helping beginners like you build wealth through smart investing strategies. Visit BrayshawFinancial.com today and start your journey towards financial independence. Brayshaw Financial Group, your partner in wealth creation.
We appreciate you listening to Money on Tap. You can contact us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. And now, more of this week's program.
Listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. And we are making our way through the top 10 of Money on Tap best places for you to retire in your golden years. And this has been a lot of fun for us to put this show together for you. And we pulled all of these data from all sorts of places that are out reporting what's best for you in retirement. And we're talking about taxes. We're talking about cost of living. We're talking about the community and the amenities and the healthcare. All those things come together to make the big picture for you, the three-dimensional investment plan. And with all of that, let's do it, folks. It's time for number one.
Clearwater, Florida.
Yes, sir. Clearwater, Florida. Didn't see that coming, did you?
No, you didn't. Seth, when we looked through all of these different things, it's funny because some of these things didn't even make top 10 for other places. And I was kind of shocked about it. But Clearwater is kind of, it wasn't number one really anywhere, but it was our number one. It placed as high as number 2 at one point. But the thing about Florida, Clearwater, and so forth is Clearwater's known for its clear water. It's a significant destination opportunity. So there's a couple of things that I thought were interesting. One is the opportunity to own a place in Florida and rent it. It's a beach community, so that's very, very interesting. It has a population just over 100,000. Its median home price is $241,000. That is unbelievably low. Rent is about $1,224 on average, and it's a Gulf Coast, Florida, tax-friendly state. There's just not enough things you can say about this. And there are other towns, but the nice thing about Clearwater is it's kind of not it's not the Naples of Florida yet, right? It's not the overbought, oversold, too much. It's still growing. It's still an opportunity for retirement. And that's kind of one of the things I think we were really looking for, is a place that you could really get an opportunity in a couple different spots.
Yeah, talk about a couple of different spots. Clearwater covers a large amount of opportunity for waterways, water fun. You have kind of that Outer Banks there on the Gulf Coast side, as well as you've got the interior there on that bay side. And it spreads quite a ways north from there as well. Kind of covers a lot of unique opportunities to own real estate inside of Clearwater, as well as have the recreation and the access to the stuff that we really feel like, besides just, the quality of living, low taxes, all those factors coming into consideration here. It just offers so much that we had to put it up here at number one for you guys. We have had so much fun here with you. Ben, did you have any closing thoughts here?
No, I just think it's really great that we were able to, have a conversation about this. But I think taxes, folks, there's other states, other places that we've considered. And if you're really interested in that, happy to send you a white paper on it.
Love it. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. I had a lot of fun with you today, and before we send you off, be successful in your investing. We'll see you here next week.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of this radio station and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. No strategy, product, material, or tool mentioned can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information, products, materials, or tools mentioned should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. This show may be subsidized in whole or in part by a product sponsor or issuer. Securities and advisory services offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, and a registered investment advisor. All other services offered through Brayshaw Financial Group LLC are independent of SagePoint Financial. SagePoint Financial and Brayshaw Financial Group do not provide tax or legal advice. Main office is located at 116 South River Road, Bedford, New Hampshire, 03110, and can be reached at toll-free 855-226-8551.